What's up, guys? MXB Vibes here. I hope your day is going good. Mine's going great. Pretty rainy outside, pretty gloomy, kind of overcast. I wanted to talk today about why hookup culture is never, it is never worth it. And I wanted to share a little bit of my experience. Hopefully this doesn't get me demonetized. It seems today that hookup culture is prominent, very prominent, over marriage, to be honest. We can look at the statistics and see that 50%, 55% of first marriages end in divorce, second marriages 65%, and 3/4 on your third marriage. That doesn't include people who stay for the kids or stay for financial reasons or yada yada yada. So we can see that there's a huge disparity in marriage. With that being said, I don't think the adverse or the quick fix, if you will, is hookup culture. I was a part of hookup culture, and not only did it destroy my psyche, my relationship, but it caused other problems too. I experienced the worst part of hookup culture. Without going into too much detail about that, if you can read between the lines, you know what I'm saying. If I'll just be honest with myself and you guys, I think it's because I had low self-esteem. I had huge self-esteem issues. So I didn't have my first sexual relationship until 15, but honestly, it wasn't until 19. Because at 15, it lasted like 30 seconds. But it was 19. And when I got to college is when it happened. And I can remember like it was yesterday. I'm 27 now, but yeah, so it was 19 and it happened. And I can remember feeling on top of the world, feeling like, man, I'm a man now, right? I'm there. I finally cracked the egg. I finally did the do, which is crazy because my uncles and my cousins were all, they would talk to me about things like regarding sex and show me different images, if you will. And so I was kind of exposed at an early age, but again, 19. Well, from 19 into 26, I didn't have my head on straight as it pertains to sex. I had this illusory perspective that, and most men have that perspective that, as a man, you know how the double standards are, right? As a guy, the more women you have, the more sex you have. It's praised, right? It's a pat on the back, right? Attaboy, right? From a female perspective, it's more of a, women nowadays are seen as whores, sluts, harlots, things like that. And I always felt bad because I didn't have the experience. And so, again, 19 to 27, I was like, I'm a man now, right? As many sexual partners I can have makes me a man. So I didn't fully have that perspective, but it was in the back of my head because I felt the lack from childhood, like, growing up in high school and middle school, not really doing anything. And so getting to college and having those experiences, I just felt on top of the world. I felt like my confidence grew, I guess you could say. I've repented from that. I've talked to God about that. That was a rough spot. Those years were, and it wasn't every year, it wasn't like I was just going around and trying to see how many partners I can have. So I don't want to come across as being promiscuous or a man whore, as people say. I don't think it's worth it. I know that it's something that you can kind of only tell when you experience it. You don't have to go through it to come to this conclusion, but I'm telling you that it's never worth it. And not even to get too esoteric or anything, but I think the reason that God bonds marriage is because of what it can do to you. Not only physical, not only spiritual, emotional. You are meeting a person, hooking up, doing whatever you do, and you leave. Most people have this no strings attached idea. And they think that, once you go through the act and you leave, you go your separate ways, then it's fun, right? Because now you've had this experience and you guys don't have to get in a relationship. You don't have to be committed to each other. You don't have to connect with each other. It's just a pure physical act, and then it's over. But I would argue that it's quite the contrary. It's almost robotic. At least in my experience, it became robotic. The idea that I'm shutting off my emotional needs to just go through the physical act. What? 20, 30, 40 minutes? And that's it. Right? There's no connection there. It's purely physical. Even some women think that it's empowering, that, it makes you a boss bitch. It makes you, liberating. And I'm not taking anything away from that because, again, I understand, embarrassingly enough, sometimes I didn't even have these people numbers. I didn't even know their last name. I maybe had them on Instagram and that was my form of communication, right? Not even their last name. Don't know anything about them. To not have that deep connection to somebody, it's like you're just stacking chips. You're not really connecting with a person. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but as much as you would like to say that you're not creating an emotional bond, you are. It's scientifically proved you are creating an emotional bond, whether you know it or not. And usually, the worst part is that one person usually tends to get more attached. For what I've noticed is that whether it was me or the other person, one person catches feelings and wanting to hang around more. You start wanting to go out, be around this person more, text them, right? See what they're up to. It becomes relational. Like, sit and ask yourself, do you actually like the person? Do you know what their morals are? Do you know anything about them? If you really got to know them, you probably wouldn't end up liking them. It's like, why would I want a monogamous relationship when I can just meet somebody on Tinder, meet somebody on Hinge, and just hook up? I had 3. Man, let's just say emotionally and psychologically, I was all over the place. I was all over the place. Now, I believe in monogamy. I do. I know that some guys might look at that as weak to say you only want, one person, but it's just too much work. It's too much. It's too much work. It's not safe. I'll just say that. It's not safe. And you know what I mean. We're all adults here. You know what I mean. It's not safe to be doing that. Interesting, I was watching this show the other day, Sex Education. For those of you who watch it know it covers an array of topics regarding sex, from straight, gay, lesbian, trans. Like, there's so many different relationships on there, dynamics. Pretty interesting show. I started watching it. It's like 4 seasons. For those of you who watch it, this is a guy named Jackson. He's like this jock type dude, and the girl he's hooking up with, she's pretty hot. Well, he talks to his best friend. He's like, hey man, I really like this girl. The sex is great, but I want something more. And his friend is like, well, just talk to her. But it's interesting because every time he talks to her after sex, she blows him off. She puts her clothes back on and just storms out. And she's like, Jackson, you know what this is. You know what this arrangement is. It's not, let's just keep it to what it is. And he's like, I want something more. And I could really relate to that. And lastly, I just want to say, I think when it comes to hookup culture, they look at Christians and think that there's no sex there, or they think that Christians condemn sex. I think it's much more about intimacy. I'm much more intimate now, and I require much more intimacy now. It's the opposite of what it is. I think that hookup culture actually cheapens sex. I think it demoralizes it. I think because it's treating this person like you're not whole, right? And I think with monogamy, and I think Christianship, I think what it does is it focuses more on that intimate relationship with the person. You've probably heard Christians say about, becoming whole with another person through sex. And regardless if you believe that notion or not, I just think more intimacy with one person whether it turns into marriage or not, would yield you better results emotionally, physically, right? Than hopping around trying to fill a void, which I think that's the underscore actually of what it is. I think, of course, everyone has their own perspective, and, you know, to each their own. I am not judging by any means. What I'm saying is, if you are in hookup culture right now, if you are doing that, or you're in a position where you're about to start, meaning that you're about to start seeing multiple partners, just think about it before you move. Before you move, think about how you move. Think about your health, most importantly. Think about how it could affect the other person, how it could affect you long term. Not just the next month, but 3-4 months. If you guys are still, you know, doing that, regardless, just think about it. Just think about it. That's all I want to say. I hope you've gotten something out of this video. It's crazy because when I talk to you guys, I'm actually talking to myself just as much. I've realized that when I make videos, like, yes, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to myself on a deeper level. It helps me really regulate my mind, get my thoughts more clearly, and it's almost like free therapy. It's not a stretch to say that, free therapy in a way. But anyway, that's enough about me. Thank you guys for watching. And I will see you in the next one. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. All right, see you guys in the next one.